right, so now that you understand how to get the blade in the handle, you understand that you have to wear the safety mitt on your opposite hand, now we need to learn how to cut into the linoleum. So I want you to look at this one that I already cut, and not only look at the background, but like all of the cuts in there. It's really important the direction of the cuts. Even though we cut away this background, even though I got rid of that and that's now negative space because nothing is there, some little pieces of this will still print. Okay, so it will be visible. If we cut this in all different directions, it will be so noticeable and it will take away from the quality of your project, okay? So pick a direction for each section and then stick with it. Okay, so for the background for here, I picked horizontal, right? Side to side, right to left, and I stuck with that the entire way, okay? Let's say that I was cutting out the inside of my apple. I'm not, that's positive space on my design, but let's say that I was cutting it out. It would probably make sense for me to cut with the shape of the apple. Kind of like how these like little reflection lines are going, like curving around with the shape of the apple, right? I would want to follow those directions. If not, it will make your object look weird if there are lines on it going in a direction that isn't natural. You know, so like let's say you have a wing on a bird, right? Can you guys see that? So you have a wing, right? And you're cutting and you decide to cut in this direction, lines like this. Well, that doesn't really make sense for the wing of your bird or plane or whatever it is that you're cutting, right? You want to make it look like it's in flight. So you would want to cut with the direction of that wing if you were cutting out that area, right? So be considerate of the direction of your cutting. Think about it. And if you're not sure what to do for any area, just ask. Let's say we're gonna cut out the body of the airplane or bird, right? Probably cut, again, with the shape of it, okay? Just like what you would do for coloring, if you were coloring these things in. Pick a direction and stick with it. Okay, so now when I start cutting out this little guy, I have my safety mitt on, I have my cutting tool. The V in the cutting tool is what does all the cutting. You don't press it down into the linoleum. You want to keep it flat like this, and you barely want to push the tip of the V into the linoleum, and then that's what does the cutting. If your cutting tool is ever like up like this, you're doing it wrong. You're gonna be gouging into the piece of linoleum and you're gonna ruin your project and or hurt yourself. So you need to keep your cutting tool level like this, barely getting the very tip of the V into the linoleum to cut away whatever it is, whatever section you're cutting, and then you will have little scraps that will come out. So what I suggest that you do, for me, for example, I'm getting rid of the whole background. So I'm gonna actually outline, I'm gonna do an outlining cut the whole way around my design here, and then I'm gonna start cutting away the whole background. So I'm gonna start in this corner. It's always easiest to press the tip of the V into corners. And so I'm gonna press right here, and I'm just gonna start pushing it very slowly. It should be so easy to cut into. And then there, I cut out that piece. If it's really difficult for you to cut into, you're doing it wrong, okay? Okay, now I'm gonna go around here, and notice where my safety mitt is, back here, I'm cutting away from my hand. And if I get in an awkward position, I am just gonna turn the piece of linoleum, right? I don't turn myself or my body, I just turn the linoleum so that I'm always cutting away from myself and always being safe. So let me just show you what I just did there. So I just got rid of this outline, just this part right here. So I'm gonna keep outlining the outside of my little apple here. Put my safety mitt back on. Really taking my time. All right, I went around the entire outside of the apple, so I have like a little cut around the whole outline of it. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use that outline and cut to help me to avoid accidentally cutting into the apple. So whenever I start cutting away the background, which I think I'm gonna also do horizontally, just like I did my little pear guy here, I'm gonna set my V gouge into this little outline cut, and then I'm gonna push out towards the edge. So setting the V into the outline cut, pushing out towards the edge. So that's gonna help me avoid accidentally cutting into the edge of the apple here. If you cut into the edge of the apple, it will show up in your project. So if you tear up the edge of something and cut away at it at all, something that you meant to leave alone, you will very clearly be able to see that, and it will really kind of take away from your project. So, and once it's cut, I can do nothing to help you add it back in. It is then cut away. It's kind of like you get one shot, okay? So I'm gonna start working on my background here. Okay, so far I got this whole area carved away, okay? And again, I'm using that outlining cut to help me avoid cutting into my apple on accident. Put my safety mitt back on, keep going. On the edge, you might have a little problem getting the pieces completely cut. So if you cut out towards the edge and the piece seems to stay like attached. All right, so as you're cutting away the edge, if you go to cut away a piece and it kind of sticks, you know, you go out to the edge and then like just a little bit of the very edge of the linoleum doesn't come completely off, you can go back and kind of tear it away with your fingers. So that's like pretty normal that the edge doesn't want to completely give way. But you know, if you leave a little border there, it will end up printing. So like I have a little bit that got stuck behind there, so I'm just gonna kind of like rip it off with my fingernail. Right, just to get rid of that edge right there.